dancing and whatnot. And certainly enough, early the next day, Lord Peak and his fellowship begin the ride north.
So really, Menakai, I get nothing.
From talking to the soldiers, what are you interested in learning?
I wrote that to you.
Yes, and about that, well, they don't really know what Lord Peak would have planned to do. Your soldiers haven't really gotten too influenced. Or did you mean you go to talk to his soldiers?
His soldiers, yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant your own people.
No.
All right. Well, can you roll some sort of persuasion check?
Sure. Can I seduce them?
Why the hell not?
Yay! Uh. Aw.
Well, it would seem that you get a rumor for spending a day, or a piece of information. And that would be that it seems that there have been some correspondence. The group actually has had ravens with them so that they could talk to someone or correspond with someone up north. They're certainly not riding up there without. Well, basically, Lord Peaks has had several ravens going back and forth with someone up there.
Okay, Halldamir, so maybe it was a poor idea.
Maybe.
Good thing no one else heard this.
We could definitely get a veteran warship.
Ships. I don't think you have
for our stream.
Let's just put them there like a dam. I think we can probably declare the Lord of House Caladan pretty capable at this point.
Attack us by river now. You have the strength.
Hydroelectric warship?
People could walk across the ship horizontally and get from one bank to the other.
Information that Nima would share with the others.
Yeah, she would share with the others.
He's been writing with people up there, even on the road.
It's where he set up the water bandits and he's telling them to chill the fuck down.
That's what we need to do. We need to like send a group of bandits after someone and then generously offer our services to help rid them of those bandits. We've already got the bandits in place. Now we need us to
Who is anyone? Where is everyone? What do you sort of spend your day doing these last days? Of course, we know that what Len is and Decima out doing out bad mouthing the peaks. What are the rest of your characters sort of doing in their everyday?
As is our birthright.
I think Alaric would probably be relaxing.
With Ashra or
with Ashra for most of the day. Probably spend a little bit of time in the morning making sure that all of our troops are ready just in case Peak is mad. So.
Well, he's left now.
Well, he's left now, so I don't need to worry about that. So, yeah, just relaxing really. I'm waiting to be told to do otherwise. And training Manfa, of course. As is my solemn duty.
Yeah, it is your duty.
Yeah.
Train him and make him sure he's an honorable man.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So this is after Peak has left.
Yeah, he left basically yesterday morning. And yeah.
Well, Nima will train and spend time telling Alaric why it would be better to teach Manfred water dancing instead of that. Whatever he's doing.
No. Just no. Not happening.
Bree could beat Manfa. She's a water dancer.
Bree will stick to the ramparts of Manikai. With the excitement of the tournament gone and the rush of the energy of all of the prep work that she did, and then being wounded and then getting drunk and then seeing Gormian, her mood has shifted. She doesn't much interact with the guards, which is certainly a deviation from how she's so used to bossing them around. Choosing to loiter and stare out at the forest, as is her noble birthright. Become withdrawn, albeit not sullen.
Turns out then that as she looks over the forest, she is she looking more at the trees or the horizon, or what? She's sort of just staring out into nothingness.
I guess the would be the latter then. I was going to say yes, but then sort of like she's not really like examining like the land. It's just sort of like a conduit for like her to look at a thing. Like she would just stare out her window otherwise, but she's taking the opportunity to stand here at this point.
At about midday, she will perhaps be startled as she hears a loud, sort of wet thud from behind her on the tower. Sort of a cracking sound.
Bree will quickly like whip her head around, wondering who has dared to do this, and like which guard she's about to rip apart.
What she sees looks like a big sort of bundle of feathers. Appears to be an eagle, a rather large one that has fallen to the floor of the tower from above. It doesn't appear to be moving immediately. It's sort of of the sort of black-brown kind of eagles that generally soar over the Red Mountains. They are rather big, and although this one is not sort of the largest possible one, it certainly has quite a lot of size to it.
Bree will scrunch her brow in confusion, like wrinkle her nose, and step closer to the eagle, like hands sort of like half prepared to like for like the eagle to suddenly like jump up.
It sort of twitches sort of limply as she goes closer. It looks like, I mean, it's sort of got feathers, very nice. It looks generally well fed. It certainly looks like, I mean, it's a good looking bird, even if it right now is acting like a bird who isn't really in the best of health. It certainly looks very, it's very nice to look at. It's quite the bird.
Is it just like still laying on the tower?
It's laying there, yeah.
It's moving.
Ever so slightly. Sort of laying on its belly, wings sort of flopped out awkwardly.
Well, Bree. I suppose that would be an effective interpretation of what Bree does, Manikai. Bree like looks down at the falcon, basically like some like unreasonable thing. Well, what? You just gonna lay there? Not gonna even say hello? Not gonna pay your respect to?
It sort of moves strangely, letting out sort of a sickening excuse for a sound. As it's like one eye that has turned upright. Its sort of head is flat, laying to the side. One eye sort of pointing up as it sort of looks at Bree and then just stops moving.
Does it have like a collar or anything to suggest that it might have been owned by someone?
Well, not around his neck, certainly.
Okay. Bree looks at it, thinks about the situation, and calls for a guard who is standing on the tower.
Sure, a guard will come running. To,
Bree will say she's thinking, and she knows who would be the best person to examine any bird that might be ill or sick. And she will demand that this guard pick up this eagle and deliver it to Dessen Caladan.
Sure, he'll look at the eagle, surprised as he then goes to pick it up. and basically pick you up by the wing. As it is picked up, she can see that on its sort of stomach, its belly, it has a big, long sort of bloody would be not the right word. It seems to have a single scar, but that scar seems to have been to be so infected that it has caused the entire front part of the bird to almost sort of bulge with just whatever sickness might be in there.
Okay. Bree definitely feels like she made the right choice then, because as it turns out, she doesn't really care that much about the plight of the bird.
He will pick it up, and sort of a sickeningly sweet smell begins to emit from the bird as he does, as he sort of just wrinkles his nose and begins to carry it towards the raven roost.
Bree will then call out, perhaps instead of that, Maester Cole first, guard.
He nods as he goes to bring it to Maester Cole.
Bree then will also, I got errored out of the server, just so you know, but Bree will then slowly like edge southward to stand at a different tower.
This one has sort of an awkward, slight blood splatter on there. Now,
Ruined her reverie.
Decim will be told that there is a seemingly dead bird in Maester Cole's.
Decim will,
With the three told to bring this news to him.
Decim will be found in a corridor somewhere, talking to Lanus in hushed tones and looking very serious, as he apparently is prodding Lanus with his words. And then when he's told, he will like frown and like, what? Like, look at the guard. You what now?
Lady Bree told me to bring the bird to Mr. Cole, and then we can inform you, my lord, about it.
I see. He looks over at Lanus. We will resume this talk later. And then he will, walk off.
What does Lanus look like at this point?
At the current second, Lanus has a very slightly embarrassed look on him, but only slightly. To anyone who observes on.
As he,
what I was getting pressured about clearly wasn't something he was too comfortable with.
Don't make me send you to Maester Cole and have him examine you, Lanus.
Shakes it off.
So there it is. All right. Then Decim will go into Maester Cole's chambers.
Sure. You'll see that on a table, not a bed, there is a big red mountain eagle lying there.
Huh.
It seems to have a horribly infected front in general.
Well,
Mr.
Decim
Cole
knows
sort of is looking at it with like a little eyeglass too.
Decim knows. He's not an expert in healing, but he knows a thing or two about birds. So he will move closer, nod to Mr. Cole. So a red-mounted eagle, as he sort of carefully look at it.
This is quite the wonderful specimen as well, in more ways than one, even before this happened to it.
Quite rare to see them here. He sort of looks over the feathers,
They rarely come so far north, it's true. Perhaps winter's hunting has been bad. It died from sort of gestures to its belly region. What seems to have been a lingering infection.
Looks over it.
I smile. I've seen it before in nights.
It seems to be well fed, though. So something else must have prompted it getting down here. I suppose the sickness might have confused it.
It certainly does, yes. It has wanted for little in its life. A strong eagle felled by plague. It's rather poetic, perhaps. If I was partial to such things. Smiles.
There's some smiles as well. Yes, I'm sure there are some soothsayer who would tell us all about the vile omens of this. As he interestingly looks over the bird.
Frankly, such things are, of course, just that. This man says, they mean nothing.
Nods, of course, of course. Yeah, Decim will also inspect the bird.
Sure. What do we like to know about the bird?
Well, he will look it over like general health. Does it seem to have any other wounds than like the infection thing? Like,
It would seem to have some like old scars on it when you sort of begin to pluck some feathers away, but those seem to have healed fine. Its general wing musculature seems to be strong. It's clearly been a strong flyer. He also, with his knowledge of general birds, would know that it doesn't seem to have been super old, pretty much in its prime at this point. The only real bad wound is that single one.
Well, he will ask Mr. Cole what he thinks of the wound. Is it something he has gotten in a fight, or has it maybe been shot or something?
It seems to have been a claw of some sort that has opened it. A fight seems to be a likely cause. Perhaps it was ousted from its territory and forced north.
It is an eagle. It's powerful, and it is in its prime. It seems unlikely that anything could easily oust it.
You know, the sickness gets often the most hubristic of people, those who would not want to see the maester. Just gives a slight smile. Sadly, the avians have no such choice.
Kvaler frowns.
Rahal doesn't like the sick bird.
No.
He
Well,
wants to stay away from it.
Decim will calmingly scratch him on the back of his head like he likes.
He will say the word death, repeated.
He will pet him and not be a shush now.
Mr. Cole smiles endearingly at the bird.
All the creepy people in one room. It's great. Well, unless you are hard pressed for anything else you must do today, my friend, perhaps we should investigate the bird a bit more thoroughly. I am taking my mind off some of the recent developments. Would be nice, at least for an hour or so.
He frowns and says, I work best alone, my lord, but if you insist, I can certainly show you how to handle such a being. It
Yes,
is
not.
not my specialty. I am more interested in the more intelligent patients, as they have more to say afterwards. It is what makes death so boring of a task. Unelegant in most ways.
Sure, Decim will be delighted to spend a bit with Mr. Cole dissecting this bird and learning everything there is to know about it.
The bird indeed seems to be internally strong and such, but when it's opened up, the whole sort of core of the bird seems to just be rotten. Even some of the marrow in its sort of spine is just like filthy and sort of rotten inside. It's clearly suffered quite a lot of agony. It's in its life. It was likely strong and a well doing bird, but it seemed to have succumbed to this infection. Even if it might have started small.
Was the wound itself? Is it like an open gape? Like
It's more like it has sort of grown together, but just not fully. There doesn't really grow feathers around it, and then you can sort of see that it's sort of bulging a bit, because when you open it up, there sort of is a lot of pus inside that have pushed so much at the skin that it sort of grown white and died around the wound.
Well, that is happy abduction. Coronary research afternoon.
Happy
in
bird
the-
time. Yeah.
Happy bird abduction time in the Mace's quarters. Decimus fascinated. He gets it's so inspirational, you know. He gets inspired by this.
So, beyond that, in the next few days, nothing major really is going on. Peak is left, and people begin to drizzle away as well, without too much of a fuss. However, some point, a rider appears at the gate, or at least Decimus is informed that one does, and that he says he is a traveler who wishes shelter for the night, and perhaps to speak to a lord about a common old friend.
Oh, sure. That sounds interesting. Let's speak about old friends.
Get out of our hall, Tyrell.
Did you ever mount your cavalry attack on the river, Halldamir?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll be here. Yeah, so Ezra's not hanging out here. He's a better place to be. Like, outside.
How late is it?
Now it's just a midday. He generally prances
Ah,
around.
yeah.
He also considers maybe he'll go back to High Garden soon. His dealings here sort of done. Not many more peasant girls to visit, you know. As Decim, has the stranger been shown in to the hall.
I recognize that weak chin. I'd know it anywhere.
You.
Stan, the Lorn Man. I know.
Yeah, man walks up with certainly some recognizable symbols and whatnot. Perhaps this explains why the guards and such were so hesitant in walks and bows deeply.
Decim looks at him. Yes.
What did you say? I hope that I'm not inconveniencing you, my lord.
Yes, looks at him.
But I am a weary traveler and would oh so like to have a place to rest for the night. The local establishments were all full, and I thought perhaps I could sleep in the hay in your stable.
Decim quirks an eyebrow. That is a bold request coming from someone who has been a thorn in the side to this house for quite some time. And tell me, why should I? Why shouldn't I just fling you from the parapets?
Because, he sort of raised things slightly, we are friends to this house, and Torek would like to bring his regards and his best. Smile slightly, dirty, rotten teeth.
Decim looks at him. Well, the regards have been brung, if that's the word I'm looking for, and has been received.
He wanted me, my lord, to bring a proposition to you. He may live now in a manor house, but his lordship is not satisfied with such a position and would like to move to a more grand locale. Is that exact of Appleton?
Decim looks at him. And how would your great lord propose to do that?
he has a simple request, my lord. If you will hear me out, he sort of smiles. He made it possible for me to understand that your house would benefit greatly from having an ally in such a place, and that he would offer to be that ally in return for a minor favor.
And that minor favor is what?
He would need but that someone in the castle was to let him and his people in at night, or at a similar time, so they could enter the keep. Then, within a few hours, he would be married, and within a few days, it would have been well consummated, my lord. At that point, my lord, the gods, Torek said, would frown upon any separation, and if accepted, and there were others the people had seen from her own mouth.
I get the idea. And he looks at him.
Thank you, my lord.
We'll find you a place in the stables.
As I shall leave most quickly tomorrow, my lord.
Good. Don't linger around. We are somewhat antsy.
Shall I bring a message back with me?
Perhaps we shall see.
Yeah,
Leaves.
very good, my lord. She will go on.
Well, that's delicious.
What did I miss?
What do we think of this, people?
I don't
The,
think
Gross.
me and Grim
Let
have
me
like
kill him.
the Lornmen are suggesting that if we smuggle them in or throw open the gates of Cider Hall for them, they will ride in and basically take over. They will force Appletons. Sorry, these two names, man. Appletons. Throw the gates open of Cider Hall, and they will ride in and take over. And
Appleton.
we would what? Cider Hall.
You just said Cider Hall again. Cider Hall's
Yeah.
the Fossaways.
God damn it.
Cider Hall's the puzzle. Come on,
Fuck
man.
everything. What's the name of it?
Appleton
The
is
Appletons
closer
live
to
in
us.
Appleton. Okay.
Appletons live in Appleton.
Okay. Appleton.
Appleton.
Yes, I think
Appleton.
it's the word cider with apples that confuses
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Anyway, Appleton. Yes, we throw open the gates of Appleton, and they ride
Fucking
in and
marshes.
take over. And in return, they say that they will ally with us. We will have a stalwart ally in House Appleton, as he will have forcibly married and consummated the marriage with Lady Appleton within a night.
Interesting.
We would hand him a lordship, and in return, we will gain an ally forever.
I
Who
don't
are
get
we
where-
handing this
I
lordship
don't
to?
even understand how that could be handing him a lordship. Like, I literally don't see how that could. Maybe that's just me not understanding this world.
Because
I
he's
can't-
marrying a lady.
How?
Because he's
I-
basically
I-
going, you
or-
will marry me or I'll kill you. I presume.
Yeah, and he will drag her before the sept, and they will say the words, and then it's done. It's just
Yeah.
done. And
Then he rapes her, it's consummated, job done.
yeah, that's basically it. People can certainly protest it,
But,
But-
perfectly legal.
but if it depends on how much he can control her. If he can control her, and she will say, "Oh no, yes, I am married, indeed," then everyone will be like, "Okay, well that's kind of weird, but all right."
Yeah.
Because that's also already what I'm sort of seeing Gourmet Peak trying to do up there. Maybe not as brutally as that, but
The problem is I don't...
True.
Although I like allies, I don't like the fact that this lady will be treated like shit.
I don't care about the lady. I care about, in this case, I care about what would it be likely for us to actually get,
But
to
then
actually get an ally there, and I'm not so sure.
I don't think it would be great to have a unstable ally there. because he could just go, thanks for giving us the opportunity to be a lord. I'll see you later, bro.
I mean, if he's shown anything so far, is that he is certainly an ultimate mercenary. He's just.
Yeah, but mercenaries can just say, yeah, we're not doing this.
No, that's what I mean.
So,
I mean, in our past dealings, he has certainly kept his end of the bargain.
How can you fathom putting someone who leads the Lordmen in a position of power?
yeah, that's the thing.
If I have, that's the thing, right? That's what I think is delicious. Like, would I prefer Peak or the Lornman? And I don't know. I might just stab myself instead.
Personally, I vote against letting the Lawnman do that. Because as a character, as a Alaric, he would find this utterly revolting.
Let's argue for whatever the sake of it that we were going to aid him. How do we throw open the gates?
That's true.
By getting an invitation to visit her in some way, something we can do. We can probably muster our influence and stuff to get an invitation.
I guess you could literally show up on our doorstep instead, which is what lords tend to do to inconvenience each other, and say, "I'm going to stay here for the night."
Yeah, and she's be, "Oh, fine."
Yeah.
And then we throw open the gates. We could even we could even bring him with us in a way, but this is our good friend. We're gonna stay with our people here for a bit, and before we continue riding, I hope that's not a problem. Then we stay for like a week, and it's done.
My character is heartless. I am not okay with that decision.
Yeah, as a player and as the character, I would be against doing this, even if it means we don't get the ally. I just don't like it. It's just pure heartless to do that. It's evil, in a manner of speaking.
I'm also against this.
If there was any way that they could prove that we were part of this, it would wreck our entire family. It would just be like you did this,
and that would be all that he would have to do too. Even especially if he's going to marry the lady, and there's just suddenly say one day, given his mercenary attitude, it was the Caladans.
Yeah, he could just say, well, the Caladans gave us the tools and told us to do it, and then Tyrell and whatever person we put in as Lord of the Marshes might just be like, well, that's not cool, bro.
I mean, he would kill himself by doing that also.
He fades away, as he has done in the past with his mercenary group, and just leaves with the wealth that he's gotten.
Sure, that's certainly possible.
It just... the cynical underbelly of this and the possibility of tearing the house down with a word. I don't like it. Just so risky.
So, Dark and Tina are completely apathetic towards the situation then.
I said that I'm against this.
Yeah, Dark said he was against it.
Against it.
Well, that's it then.
I thought Jonas was the heart of the group.
But why do you think that? I've been swayed by true love once already. Look what that got
That's
me.
enough for one lifetime.
You're freaking happily married.
Yeah, god damn it.
Shut up.
I wasn't talking about my marriage.
What the hell are you talking about?
He was talking about Sir Ryman.
Yeah, that's true.
And Nalia.
Happiness. God damn.
You know, the girl who compelled Nima in an intrigue.
Mm-hmm.
When is Nalia gonna pop?
Funny enough, I could have left, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because this girl means something to Nima. Of course she would help her.
When is Nalia due to, give birth? It must be soon. It's been a fair few months.
We could use the Lornmen as some sort of convoluted. Could we set them like in the path of Gormy and have them clash? That would be kind of fun
Ooh.
somehow.
Oh,
But I
that'd be
don't think.
Don't know if we could do that though.
No, I don't think so.
The
either.
bandits are gonna be like, lol, no, we ain't fighting heavy cavalry.
We could say, what if we say, if you can deal with Gormy Peak, we will give you a castle.
Yes. Okay.
We
If
will
that
give
was
you
possible.
a keep if you deal with Gormy.
If that,
Because we just give him the fucking Deepwell Keep. Done.
if that was a thing, we could. If he was like, I can take care of Gormy for you, I will. Then we could talk.